All right, let's talk about it. Week 6. We are here for week 6 of the NFL season. The Green Bay Packers are taking on the Cincinnati Bengals in Green Bay. Now, to suffice it to say that this is a must win game for the Packers would be an understatement. And I know the Bengals have been bad, they've been absolutely terrible. The addition of Joe Flacco, let's be honest, might add a little bit, but again, against that offensive line, could be a rough day for Joe Flacco. But again, the Packers cannot get to the quarterback. And Joe Flacco is able to get the ball out in 1.5 to 2 seconds. Packers are going to have a rough day. Let's get into it. Let me know what you think. Subscribe, thumbs up, whatever you need to do. I know people hate that when they say it from the beginning because they haven't even watched the video yet, but you know what? It's supposedly supposed to help me out. So if you feel so inclined, please do so. But let's get into it. The Packers are coming off a bye week, a much needed bye week, and it looks like they will be without Devontae Wyatt. Now, we know what happened against the Cowboys a couple weeks ago. When Devontae Wyatt left out, the pressure went down by a lot. They could not sustain consistent pressure. And as a result, Dak Prescott tore the Packers apart. Now, the Packers have been trying out defensive tackles this week, and maybe they'll throw somebody in there, but they're not going to find someone with the quality of a Devontae Wyatt. Devontae Wyatt has the quality to be a All-Pro type defensive tackle if he were to be able to just stay healthy. Offensively speaking, the Packers should have a field day. Josh Jacobs should be able to run wild. Jordan Love should be able to have 200 to 300 yards passing with 3 or 4 touchdowns. It should be a lock and shut case. Packers win by 25 to 30 points, just like the Lions did last week. Okay, the Lions only won by like 14 points last week, but let's be honest, that game was way over, and the Bengals got a couple of garbage time touchdowns to Jamar Chase, so I'm sure a lot of fantasy players out there were like, I won my week because of those garbage time touchdowns. It's just like, yeah, you sure did. But the Packers should win. Now, at times, the Bengals secondary has been better. They've been able to force some turnovers here and there, but again, they're not good. Their defense is not good. Their defense is not good. They cannot sustain pressure. They still do have Trey Hendrickson, but even with Trey Hendrickson this year, I believe they are in the bottom third of just about everything. And I don't want to say it, but I think the Packers should easily win this week. But again, it all starts with the defense. All starts with the defense. And yes, the offense as well, because Josh Jacobs should be able to get going this week. Romeo Doubs should continue to see targets up the wazoo. Should be able to get another touchdown or two. I see a touchdown for Dontavian Wicks, maybe a couple for Tucker Kraft. The Packers should be able to win this game. They absolutely should. This should be on the calendar a stone cold dead win. Dead win. Packers win by a lot. But when do the Packers ever make it easy? Now, the last time the Packers played the Bengals in Green Bay, or the last time they played the Bengals at all, they won due to missed field goals. Now, suffice it to say, McPherson has been okay this year, but he's still not the best kicker in the world, so that could be a possibility to happen again. But let's not depend on that. The last time the Packers also played the Bengals, Packers got torn apart. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase ran up and down the court, ran up and down the field, and just really took it to him. Now, there's no Joe Burrow, but Joe Flacco still has some in him, and although he may be in a mobile or statue back there, he does have the ability to run every once in a while. And like I said, if he can get the ball out like Dak Prescott did last week, it could be a rough day. But that offensive line is no joke. It's terrible. It is terrible. The Bengals' offensive line is one of the worst in the league. And every year they've tried to improve it. Every year they've tried to improve it. A couple years with La'el Collins, and Amarius Mims still hasn't shown up, even though by all accounts his body should just be an immovable wall. It just hasn't lived up to the first round grade. So Micah should be able to eat this week. Rashawn Gary should be able to eat this week. Maybe even Lucas Van Ness should be able to move. But Lucas Van Ness just has not lived up to the pass rushing ability that people saw in him when he was drafted. He's been more of like a C grade. He's a pretty good run stopper, but in terms of pass rush, you expect a little bit more. Micah Parsons is going to do just fine. I mean, look at what he's been doing. He's been double and triple covered just about every play, and he's still getting sacks. Like, what's Rashawn Gary's excuse? What's Lucas Van Ness' excuse? What's Colby Wooden and Carl Brooks' excuse? Maybe Nazir Stacko to a lesser degree. Packers have a good defense, but if they can't get there, they can't rush with 4. That's the problem in the past couple of games. They haven't been able to rush 4. Now, the first 2 games they were able to rush 4 and get home, and this helps tremendously. But if they can't rush with 4, even with a guy like Joe Flacco, even with a guy as old as Joe Flacco and an offensive line as bad as the Bengals, they're still professional players, so they still can surprise. Joe Flacco has beaten the Packers before. Again, if the Packers just run the ball, they win that fucking game, and the Packers are still undefeated. Maybe they still have a tie, but Packers could still be undefeated if not for that game. So all the stuff about Joe Flacco beating the Packers, yes, he did. The Browns beat the Packers only because of mistakes. If Jordan Love can make good decisions and not be an idiot, they'll be fine. If he can have a better internal clock, which he just doesn't seem to have, and at this point in his career, his internal clock should be way better. He has a internal clock rivaling Carson Wentz. I mean, Carson Wentz had some really bad plays last week and nearly lost his team a game. And Jordan Love wasted so much time last week, so much time against the Cowboys on that final 2-minute drive. They should have gotten down the field and scored a touchdown. And only by the grace of God were they able to get the extra field goal to tie the game. By all accounts, the Packers should have lost that game in Dallas, and then it would have been 10 times worse. But the Packers have got to do better. They have got to be able to rush 4. They have got to be able to cover. And for fuck's sake, Nate Hobbs and Carrington Valentine need to do better. I don't know what they were doing last week, but every time they were out there, they were getting gashed. They were just getting destroyed. And George Pickens was able to do that last week. Not saying George Pickens is a scrub by any means. He's definitely an up-and-coming wide receiver, but Jamar Chase is arguably number 1 wide receiver in the league, depending on who you ask. T. Higgins is a top 15 wide receiver in this league, depending on who you ask. The Packers have got to stop the pass. They have got to be able to slow down Chase Brown, who has not had a very good year, but I worry that Chase Brown finally has his first really good rushing game this year, and it gets close to 70 to 80 yards. I fear that. I really, really do. And if they're able to run like Chase Brown did last year, the Packers are going to get gobsmacked. Now, again, because the defense of the Bengals is so bad, Packers should be able to score at will. But if Jordan Love can't make smart decisions, if he can't improve on what he did last week, you just got to wonder, is this the best he's ever going to be? Because it's getting about that time where the book is written on Jordan Love, and we know who he fully is. He might even be there already, depending on who you ask. I still think he can be a top 10 quarterback in the best of situations. He just needs to be better. He just needs to know better where he is, and he needs to be able to get the ball out quickly and not take a sack. He's just got to do better. Coaching-wise, Matt LaFleur just needs to make better decisions. And the special teams, I mean, we rag on the special teams, but the Packers just don't seem to value special teams. And as much as we'd like to see Rick Bisaccia get fired, he's not going anywhere. it makes it really hard because he's the assistant head coach, and it's like I don't know how he got that because I know he's well respected, but look at the rankings of the special teams when he's been in the Packers. They haven't been above 25 in that whole time. In this whole time, it's not great. If the Packers can run the ball with Josh Jacobs, it's certainly going to help. Josh Jacobs should be able to have his first really good rushing game this week. Jordan Love should have a good game. Romeo Dobbs, Tucker Kraft should be able to eat the Bengals alive this week. I expect a huge game for him. And that defense, if they can rush for, it's going to be hard to beat the Packers. It really is. It really is. That's how bad the Bengals are. And I know Jake Browning is not out there tossing meatballs anymore, but Joe Flacco's not much better. Joe Flacco may have beaten the Packers once this year. He still hasn't had a great year. And that offensive line could literally get him killed. I literally saw a parody account on X saying that putting it's Joe Flacco out there's elder abuse. And it could very well be. Could very well be. But the Packers have all their money on them right now. Now is the time to get wins because their season will get harder as we get into November. So stack the wins right now because it's going to get harder. You still got to play the Bears twice. You still got to play the Vikings twice. You still got to play the Lions again. The Ravens, even though they've been shit, they got to play the Broncos, who have been better. They got to play the Eagles. Packers have a tough schedule coming up. So now's the time to stack wins. You get the Cardinals next week. And I forgot who else. You still got the Steelers, who have been playing better, so that's not going to be a cakewalk. But you're playing the Bengals, should be a win. Next week should be a win against the Cardinals. And then the Steelers should be a win as well. And then by week 9, we'll see what happens. But Packers have all the pieces to win this game this week and win it big. They just need to be consistent. They just need to be able to rush for. And more importantly, Jordan Webb needs to make good decisions. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. In the end, I think the Packers win 35-21. I think the Bengals will definitely be able to get a decent amount of touchdowns this week because Ja'Marr Chase is unguardable, and if Hobbs plays anything like he did last week, it could be a rough day. Now, it's likely that Keyshawn Nixon will go up against Ja'Marr Chase at any chance to get because he's number one corner, but Packers just nut up and get the win. Because if you lose to the Bengals, I am counting out any chance for you to win a Super Bowl this year and officially putting the countdown clock to the firing of Matt LaFleur. If Matt LaFleur cannot beat this team, oh boy. Could be in for a long off season. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Otherwise, have a great day, and as always, God bless.